Where is he? Is he on the practice field?
No, he is not on the practice field.
Does he have a shirt on?
No, he does not. What? Come on. Like I said, he made it worth our wait. And here he is.
You just never know. Where is he? Is he in greens? Nope, he's not in greens. There he is.
No. Oh, shirtless in greens would be perfect, Stephen.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What's up, dude?
Good, man.
Everything good?
Living the dream, man. Digging French drains and building chicken coops and all sorts of shit. Never ends.
What are you have chickens now?
I do. We got 9 of them.
What, egg prices just too much and outside of Tampa, Florida?
They got a little crazy. But no, my one of the kids that I train, his dad was like, "Yeah, man, we have like a chicken farm," and said that in front of Masha, and she's like, "Oh, you do? Yeah, I'd love to have some chickens. I'd love to have some chickens." So he gave us 10 of them, and we gave our neighbor one of them because it ended up becoming a rooster. But we have 3 roosters in the flock.
Dude, that's awesome. So who gets to clean the coop? Memphis?
No, we're building a new coop right now. The other one, I wouldn't let freaking Osama bin Laden clean that one. It's disgusting.
You don't have to worry about Osama cleaning anything anymore. He's long gone.
Yeah, he gone.
He is gone. All right, but Nyck Harbor, Luke Doty, and Dylan Stewart are all in and on Tailgate Talks that was released today. It's an awesome episode. We hope all of you will make sure that you watch that or listen to it when you get a chance. Last week, LaNorris, Sellers, Case, and Henry, and prior to that, Marcus Lattimore. So quite the start to season 2 of Tailgate Talks with Garcia and Mr. DeMarco, who's here on Mondays. Stephen, I want to talk to you though about LaNorris. You were in town a few weeks ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, really recording that, spending time with him up there in Columbia, and I know you remember very well your second year as a starting quarterback in the SEC. There's a lot of growth that goes on with that and things of that nature. So what did you take away from spending time with LaNorris Sellers, both on and off the air?
I mean, just he's definitely a humble kid. I think if you were to give me that kind of money at that age, that could have been dangerous. Stop. And but yeah, I mean, extremely humble kid, very talented. Obviously, got a chance to talk with him and Coach Shula and all the other quarterbacks after practice, which was pretty cool. And it was funny. Coach Shula was like, "Yeah, do you have any advice for, LaNorris with talking to the media?" I'm like, "Actually, I have no advice. Coach Spurrier never let me talk to the media. So my advice is just keep doing what you're doing because obviously it's working. So yeah, just keep doing it, man." But yeah, I think, like you mentioned, there's usually a ton of growth that happens from the first year to the second year being the starter.
I mean this wholeheartedly. You're one of the best guys to talk football with because you see it, but you feel it. You understand that. And there's a reason why you've trained hundreds of quarterbacks. A lot of them have gone on to play college football and beyond. You know what you're doing out there, Stephen. You've obviously watched him throw the football and things of that nature. Just getting your eyeballs on it. I know you haven't been at the last couple of scrimmages and things like that, but when you watch him work out there, what do your eyeballs see?
He's slippery. He's very slippery. I think everybody saw a glimpse of that last year. But I mean, the ball comes out. It's as Coach Spurrier would say, it's a very catchable ball. He puts it where his receivers can get it. The receivers look night and day better than they did, I thought, last year. So I think just how much growth they've had. But man, I think they're going to be very scary on offense this year. Sorry, my daughter is like grabbing this freaking drawstring we got going on right now.
It's okay.
Causing a mess, but yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be very fun to watch. I think week 1 is I think they're going to beat the hell out of Virginia Tech, honestly.
Mike Shula in this offense. I asked Pat the other day when he was playing with the Falcons because Mike was calling the plays for the Panthers while he was playing in Atlanta, as you know. And I asked him, how would he define Mike Shula as a play caller? Now, look, I get it. You're calling plays in the NFL versus calling plays in college. There could be some differences in there, Stephen. I would imagine it comes with terminology and things of that nature. So he had a nice description. But one of the things that he said, and you'll know this as well as anybody because you played for Coach Spurrier and you went through this. He said they're very similar to Coach Spurrier in the fact that he would be consistent with things that work. If he knew that this worked, you're going to run that play a lot until somebody figures out a way to stop it. Can you add anything to the conversation surrounding the Gamecocks' new play caller and Mike Shula?
I mean, I would defer to Pat on that because I think Pat knows a little bit more in depth. I will say that Coach Shula recruited me, Emma, so we got to joke around a little bit about that at practice. But I mean, obviously, the guy knows what the hell he's talking about. He's done it at the collegiate level. He's done it at the professional level. So he knows what he's doing. And, I think, obviously the similarities between Cam and LaNorris are pretty eye popping. So I think Coach Shula is going to know how to get him in the right positions, know what his skills are, what his weaknesses are, and, get the guy, to be in the best position. I think that's why I'm saying I think it's going to be a very, very scary proposition for defenders to kind of game plan against this offense this coming year.
Yeah, I want to needle you a little bit on that and pick your brain a little bit more. You mentioned the similarities in Cam and LaNorris. I think there's a lot of people that kind of have drawn that conclusion, Stephen, especially a lot of fans, but I'm not so sure they actually know what it means. What similarities are you referencing here between the two?
Oh, I mean, strictly just skin color. That's pretty much it. I mean, what the hell do people think I'm talking about? I mean, come on.
I'm talking specific football stuff, how they throw the football.
Yeah, man. No, I know. You got to talk a little shit every now and then for everybody. But I mean, yeah, you look at the similarities, you look at the athletic ability, you look at the overall size. I mean, it's if I would have said Bernie Kosar or, somebody like that, I mean, they would have been like, who the hell are you talking about? That makes no sense whatsoever. So yeah. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of one of the main reasons, I guess. I don't know.
Oh God. I actually, when I look at him and watch him play, I actually think about Josh Allen a little bit in Buffalo. And just kind of how he calms. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he kind of calms the game down. He's very in charge. And then when the game speeds up around him, like he's kind of going through slow motion. Am I making sense? Does that make sense?
No, 100% makes sense. And I think that's only going to get better as, he gets more and more experience. I mean, obviously he's got a full year of starting under his belt from last year and obviously played extremely well. So I think the game is definitely slowing down for him and it's just going to continue to the more and more he gets experience.
I don't think I need to read.
It's a lot when the game is slow. When it's fast, you're looking all over the place. You have no idea where the hell to look.
Yeah, he's referenced that a couple of times here in the preseason, getting through progressions and things like that. Stephen, how do you think he did in doing that as the season went along last year?
I mean, I think the stats are kind of speak for itself. Started off. Everybody was kind of concerned with that opening game against what was it, Akron or something last year. Wasn't it Akron last year they opened up with?
They opened with Old Dominion, but they did play Akron. He didn't play that game. Robbie Ashford played.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's right. Old Dominion. But yeah, I mean, my point is like it wasn't a very good game, and everybody's like, oh man, we're in, this is going to be a long season. And up until about, I guess the middle of the year, or, I guess Kentucky played well, but, he didn't really kind of flash that brilliance that we all saw towards the end of the season until about mid-year. And I think that's when the light bulb kind of went off and he's like, all right, I can play this game. He sure shit did.
Yeah, boy, you got that right. Putting your quarterback coach hat on here, when you're teaching quarterbacks how to get through that, how to get through a play and going through that first guy and going through that second guy and going through that third guy, what is that process like for these dudes because it's moving fast, Stephen? Like how do you teach these guys other than reps to become a better quarterback in that phase?
I think it's a lot more difficult for guys that have that athletic ability to where if one ain't open, he's taking off and going.
Yeah.
But I think what you're going to see a lot more this year, because they obviously want to keep him healthy. It's. I mean, I didn't really get hurt either, but we were about the same size. So, I mean, you can take those hits, but we want to try to limit those hits to a guy that we're paying this much money to, and kind of have the season, that he's projected to have. So, I'm, first read, second read, third read, or a third read, instead of just taking that first read and taking off and running, kind of like we saw a little bit last year. But I feel like it's just watching tape. It's just getting comfortable and knowing where you guys are going to be at, where they're supposed to be at versus certain coverages. And I think, he's got a hell of a guy in Coach Shula to kind of mentor that and explain that to him.
How thin is the line when you're kind of making those adjustments, as they have been with LaNorris Sellers? How thin is the line, Stephen, in training them to do that, but making sure you don't take away some of the things that make him valuable? You just referenced the legs, being able to take off and go. That's part of his DNA. How thin is that line, and making sure that you're not hindering that part of his game?
That's is very, very thin. I can remember several times, even to this day, there'd be a play where I'd scramble and run, and I could just hear Coach Spur, like, there's 100,000 people in the stands. All I could hear is throw the ball. And, we, gained 15, 20 yards, and he's like, oh, good play. But this guy was open. I feel like there's very thin lines of that. And I don't have an answer for it. I think when it's a good play, it's a great play. But you can also look like, as you would say, a dumbass. You fumble a couple times against Auburn, you look like a dumbass instead of throwing the ball.
You weren't the only one that turned it over against Auburn. Connor did too.
Trust me. Yep. I give Connor hell about that all the time.
All right. He came in to save the day and he didn't. That's all on Connor. Nyck Harbor, who is on Tailgate Talks today, he is a very valuable piece of this offense. Stephen, we began talking about this in the middle of last year when you were on the program. If you remember, it felt like he was beginning to change from learning to play wide receiver to a guy who was getting much more comfortable playing wide receiver. Now that he's had an entire offseason to focus solely on playing football and playing that position in this league, what have you seen from him? What do you expect from him?
Yeah, you can see the confidence kind of just exploding out of him. He came straight from practice. These guys, again, which is kind of pretty cool. What I was talking with Pat, it's like with their second day of camp. Camp is an absolute grind in itself. But for these guys to kind of like hang around and talk with us afterwards, I thought it was pretty cool testament of these guys' character and just their I guess give a shit meter to come and talk with us after practice like that. So I'm saying all that to say this, we're getting there, we're getting all set up. Nyck just comes hauling ass right after practice just to come talk to us and sits down, put the mics on and the cameras on and everything, and feel the confidence oozing out of him. He's like, I put in so much work. This is the first real offseason that I've done strictly focused on football as opposed to track as well. And I mean, you can see the difference in him physically. I feel like mentally he feels like he's definitely more sharp as well. I mean, he's said that several times in the podcast interview.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I mean, there's speed and then there's speed and then there's game speed, right? Like some guys are fast, some guys are lightning. He's lightning, but does he play like it? Do you feel like it was the mental part that was slowing him down and that's where he's the most caught up now?
I think there's just so many intricacies of, I mean, as you just said, there's difference between football speed and track speed. I mean, obviously he can go straight line as fast as anybody in college football, but as a receiver, you're not just running go routes every single time. You're not running post routes. You got to break down, you got to hit comebacks, you got to run curls, you got to break down runs, dig routes. I mean, there's so many different things. You got to know when to run it against, zone coverage. You're not going to run into a Mike linebacker. You're going to settle in that zone. So you got to be able to throttle down. There's just so many different aspects of the receiver position that I feel like he's definitely worked on, and mentally he knows how to operate it.
Mm-hmm. Observations. Well, I probably should have texted you and said I was going to ask you this, but why would I do that? When you were spending time around the program in Columbia, is there anything that comes to the top of mind that you thought, wow, that guy looks different, or this looks different, or that looks really good? Something that stood out.
Everything. The whole city looks like it's, got an influx of money into it.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
true.
it's completely different. I pull up in my little POS rental card that I drove from Tampa. I pull up to the practice facility, and there's Range Rovers, there's Jeeps, there's all these different kind of cars. I'm like, man, I remember me and Pat felt like we were rich because we drove F-150s around here.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's definitely a difference. But I think, all jokes aside, the overall size of these freaking college athletes, it looks like an NFL team, man. They are freaking massive. They're huge. And I mean, obviously we had some big dudes around, when we were playing, but from top to bottom, I mean, these guys are just they're I believe they were creatures, and that's a pretty apt description of them.
Yeah, I mean, Pat mentioned that about the offensive line. He said, "Look,
Yeah.
how Pat is. Pat's very humble, but he did play in the league for 10 years, and he said to me privately, and he said it on our program, hey, look, man, those guys look good. Like, they look like NFL offensive linemen. Are they going to play like that? We're going to find out. But they look like
Right.
NFL offensive linemen. What does that mean? What does that mean to you?"
Look the part, but you just don't want to look like Tarzan and play like Jane, is like the old saying. So, but I mean, I think you can tell from that interview with Casey. I mean, he is as dialed in as anyone on the offensive line I've seen ever. I mean, it was kind of wild sitting between him and Pat, because you could just feel like the freaking tension going on in there. I felt like Casey was just ready to knock the shit out of somebody. So I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like these guys, like I said, they absolutely looked at Pat all right. He was just, just fired up to talk about football, and like, his comeback from being injured, and just ready to get forward to hitting the hell out of somebody from Virginia Tech. So, but I mean, these guys are, they definitely looked the part. I don't remember an offensive line. Not No offense to the guys that I played with, but I don't remember an offensive line from left tackle to right tackle that had that same size.
Yeah. Dylan Stewart is a guy that you probably would not have wanted to play against if I had to guess, Stephen. He is obviously being mentioned in the category of a dude that you did play with for 1 year. We all know who he is. We'll see. We'll see, right? You got to be careful with those type of comparisons. So we'll see. I'm not going to go that far.
Absolutely.
But we watched Dylan Stewart last season put on a show as a true freshman, and he is going to be the star of that show once again this year on that side of the football. As a quarterback, when you are watching tape and you're evaluating the defense, if you had to evaluate Dylan Stewart, just out of curiosity, what do you think you would be doing in that room with your offensive coordinator, with your head coach, to combat a guy like that?
I mean, I think you absolutely have to get either a tight end or a running back to do some sort of chip. I mean, I think just let your help your left tackle out, help him out, give him a little chip, and just piss him off. That's one thing that'll piss the defensive end off. That is typically a pass rush guy, that all he wants to do is get sacks. You keep chipping him, you keep throwing the ball, getting out of your hand before we can get there. He's gonna get a little pissed off. I mean, that may not be a great thing to piss somebody off like that, but if you can take him out of the game, then that's a win for you in the offense. So, I foresee him getting a lot more attention this year, with the Appenard and some of those other guys on the defensive line that they had this past year.
All right, final one for you, and we'll let you. I think I said 11:55. Look at that, right on the money. I'll let you get back to digging your well and raising chickens.
No, this is actually this is a nice breather.
Oh, okay. Well, stick around as long as you like. You know that you're welcome here whenever you want to be. In 2010, y'all go out and you win the East, and obviously it didn't end that well in Atlanta with the loss against Auburn, and then Atlanta again with the loss against Florida State. But what did happen that year was new expectations were built for Gamecock football, and then going into 2011, obviously that started the 3-year stretch of winning 11 games. I'm just trying to give the audience a general feel of what an off season like this feels like for football players, for a football team. Now I know that was 14 years ago. We're getting a little old, dude. It's been a while and things have changed, like social media and all this other crap. But still, this team is being recognized by some folks as a potential playoff football team. And there are some expectations. Some people don't have any expectations for them, as a matter of fact, Steve. Some people think they're just going to be 7-5 and just another ho-hum Gamecock average football season. But there are some that actually think that they could go out there and do something special. So I'm just trying to see if you could reflect a little bit on entering that year after winning the East and what it was like internally, how Coach Spurrier and that staff were able to keep y'all focused and basically saying, yeah, we won the East last year, but that team did that. What is this team going to do?
Right. Yeah, that's a very valid point. I think Coach Beamer's got these guys down. I think with the leadership that they had, they had a relatively young team last year. I think with the leadership that returned this past, season, I think they're going to keep these guys kind of in check. You got Luke Doty, who's been there since Nam, so he's seen. Yeah, no kidding. But I mean, he's seen the good, the bad, the ugly. He knows what it should look like. But I mean, talking with him, he's like, dude, this is definitely the most, anticipated season that I've been around. It's just not, in his 6 years of being there, but that's guys since shit that I got done playing. Everybody's like, man, this has got to be one of the most hyped, South Carolina teams that we can remember. So with that being said, I mean, they're going to have a target on their back. They're going to have, LaNorris isn't coming out of the woodwork this year. Teams have been having an entire offseason to kind of game plan against them. As difficult as that may be, they're going to be able to game plan against them. So it'll be a very interesting year. I think it's this first game is going to be kind of a pretty good tell for how the season's going to go. You never want to say that, especially the first game, but I feel like against a Virginia Tech team that's, somewhat decent, and we're ranked 13th for the first time in, I don't know, 15 years, 10, 11. However long it's been. Yeah. So, there's a lot of hype going around. We got a Heisman candidate, we got a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. I think that these guys are going to be able to respond well. It's just we'll just see what happens.
Are you cautiously optimistic or are you optimistic?
I'm optimistic. I mean, just talking with LaNorris and just talking with him and I got his number. I'll text him. I texted him last year, and just from even last year to this year, he seems like he's matured a hell of a lot more. And I think he's just ready to rock and roll. He's done with all the hype and all the offseason stuff, ready to get to football. And I think all these guys, and I remember doing that too. I mean, obviously I wasn't having to do commercials or anything back then, but I mean, I could not wait for the summer and fall camp to end and just get ready to go play against somebody else other than our own team.
11 days until they kick off, warned by the great Kenny McKinley at South Carolina. Rest in peace to the great Kenny McKinley, who, by the way, sported Jinkos better than anybody I ever met in my life. He wore Jinkos as well as anybody. You remember Jinkos?
Vaguely.
The jean shorts that went down to like your shins?
Yeah.
Kenny McKinley pulled those off better than anybody I'd ever met.
He sure shit did. He did.
He had a smile. Steven, I don't know if I ever told. We had a class. Do you remember Barney? Did you ever have a class with Barney Allman?
Class, very much.
Well,
in general.
Well, neither did Kenny. That's kind of the purpose of what I'm saying. It was a business course, and Kenny and I sat. Me and Kenny and Bobby Wallace and a couple other guys.
Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby. Guy could get through a pack of cigarettes in a day or an hour.
Before freaking winter workouts too.
I don't know how I was like, man.
I don't know how he did it.
But we had a test. And Barney would call you up the following class. He'd call you by your last name, and you go up and you pick him up, and you come back. You just walk back up to your seat. And Kenny had asked me prior to the previous test. The statute of limitations is long gone on this, so this story is okay to tell. Hey man, do you mind if I take a peek during the test? I said, well, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but sure. Kenny, and we had everything was color coded, so we shuffled the tests as they came down the row to make sure that him and I both got the same. They were pink. We both got the pink colored tests, and so Kenny happened to mark one answer that was one off of the answer that I marked. So he opened his test and he got a 32, and I got like an 85. But I heard his head slam on the table, and I looked over and said, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Man, I got a 32, man. What'd you get?" I said, "Oh, I got an 85. I thought you were cheating off me. How did that happen?" And we discovered that he was one off. And so he was not going to make it out of the class without having to go talk to Barney, and then Barney let him go. And Coach Spurt, I don't think everybody ever really knew about it till now. But man, one of the coolest dudes
That
ever.
is hysterical.
He wore great Jinkos, and he was always smiling. Rest in peace, Kenny McKinley. All right, man. Well, next time you come to Columbia, throw a dozen in for me. We'll buy some eggs. My wife loves fresh eggs.
I'll do.
That's right.
Hey, we'll do this every week. It's back, man. We get to talk ball, dude, like real football. We'll have some video and stuff. Steven's Eyes will be able to break down some video throughout the season, and we're fired up about that. Tailgate Talks is amazing. It is amazing. It's taken off big time. Again today, Dylan Stewart, Nick Harbor, Luke Doty, Henry and Sellers last week, and Steven, man, hat tip for getting Marcus on in the first episode of season 2. It was so good to see him, and y'all did a great job with that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that was cool hanging out with him for a little bit.
Yeah, he was something. He was something.
Yep.
It's one of the best things I've ever seen, like ever. I'm a big Marcus Homer, and I'm a big Steven Homer too. So it was really good to see you guys talk. But nice, dude. I'm loving the beard too, man. That is.
What's going on here?
I've tried to get to that point. I got an Elvis costume after wearing a Marcus shave again. But,
so you're gonna leave the hair.
Oh, I'm going full mountain man.
Okay,
dude, that's it.
Is this going to be for football season, or just until you decide you don't want it anymore, or what's the deal?
Yeah, just for life. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens.
So in the words of that, words of that guy from Joe Dirt, it just grows in all white trashy like that.
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
That's full, dude. It's full, man. I mean, I love that, dude. That's awesome.
Oh, I'm jealous. I can't even grow it that thick in my dreams.
Hey, when you're coming up for the Alabama game, right?
Yes.
15 years, man. We'll have a lot to talk about before that one.
Absolutely. We'll do it over some cold beers.
Yeah, at the condo, no doubt. All right.
Cool. All right, boys. We'll see y'all later.
Later.
See you, man.
Thank you. There you go. Steven Garcia, quarterback.